Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining tonight. Jared, the non-alcoholic aficionado, here with the Instagram NA crew. We've got five of us on the conversation tonight. This is a NA happy hour. So thanks, everybody, for hopping on. Do we want to go through a round of introductions? Who wants to
Perfect.
start?
Who's first?
You.
First. Okay. Chris, go for it. I'm Chris Clemens. I'm non-rockaholic on Instagram and the Facebook. Um, Tuning in from Rochester, New York, home of Genesee Brewery.
Very cool. I can go next. Mark Ruff here, founder of NA Beer Club. I describe NA Beer Club as your resource for discovering your next favorite non-alcoholic beer. We do a monthly subscription, like a non-alcoholic beer of the month club. We also have a lot of great blogs and resources for finding out what cool NA beer is out there. So thanks for having me. I'm calling in from Columbus, Ohio. So home of Brewdog and a relatively new brewery called Good Liar, which I recommend everybody checks out. It's fantastic beer.
I'll go next. You may know me, you may not. My name is N.A. Brewski. I'm a non-alcoholic beer enthusiast and content creator on primarily Instagram. Um, I started drinking non-alcoholic beer a year and a half ago, and the rest is history. I fell in love with it. I always loved beer. When I made the change, I didn't never looked back, never regretted it. So I'm excited to talk to you guys today.
I'm Tyler McMahon. I'm founder of Reduceaholic, basically a map about non-alcoholic beer and also a resource. Got some blogs on there, some more technical ones, non-technical ones. We'll see where it spins off. It might take on the safety topic soon, which should be Firestorm. I'm tuning in from a small little town in Wyoming. I already forgot the name. I'm on my way to Canada to do a mountain bike race and spread some Go and groovy non-alcoholic beer at the tent. So yeah, long drive ahead of me, but
Very cool.
good work.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna flag up there with what I'm drinking. I've got some new beers that I haven't tried before. The Force Majeures from Belgium. Just poured out the Creek, it's called, and it is very fruity. I didn't know what to expect. It's kind of almost like a fruited sour, and it's really good. Stumbled upon these at a local bottle shop called Zero Proof Northeast here in Minnesota, and they hooked me up with them to try. So giving them a shot tonight.
Nice. I've also got a Belgium uh,
Oh, there you go.
00. I have this real bad habit of like scrolling through the internet, trying to find where I can find new stuff to spend money. And I posted on Instagram. I was sometime earlier this week. I bought from thebelgianshop.com. And honestly, like shipping was probably 3 times what I actually bought in beer. And all the emails I got were kind of like probably pushed through Google Translate at some point and looked a little funny, but they finally arrived and I'm very excited. And this one's really good. It's like very super amber, almost honey, caramel, crisp, a little bit malty. I'm very pleased with the $19 that I probably spent just to ship this one up.
Even the 00, wow, crisp. Crisp is not something you always associate with 00. That's nice to hear.
It is. I find that I feel like when I'm looking at international beers, like things that didn't come from the US or even North America, even Canada, they have so many more 00. And I sometimes wonder if they actually are 00, because didn't Heineken get in trouble because they said theirs was 00 and then they got taken to court?
Well, 00 technically is allowed to be 0.03. And the person that took them to court figured out about the 0.03 part and then took them to court. They'll probably, who knows if they'll win or lose. It really depends on the judge and the judge's interpretation. But by definition, alcohol free in the US is allowed to have a 0.03 in it because it's virtually impossible to not have that. I mean, I think even unfermented wort will have that just from sitting there. Like it would be impossible.
Banana probably does, or a sourdough.
A banana has more.
Right.
So why is that? Is that just because of like natural fermentation? How does that work?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay.
I have no. I had no idea ripe banana had more alcohol in NA beer until I got into the sector. I mean, but did you see Rob's video, Generation NA? He actually tested a ripe banana and a what is it, a hamburger bun and maybe orange juice versus a 6-pack of, I think it was a mix, maybe it was just Go. I can't remember, and he came out way higher with the food as opposed to the 6-pack of NA beer.
Wild.
That's awesome.
Didn't he have like a whole pack of like hamburger buns? Like, how do you? I was like, oh man, are you kidding me?
That's rough.
He looked like he was struggling for sure.
But
yeah,
it's like
I took N.A. Brewski's lead and did the AFNA certification, and that's a big part of it is like the way that different jurisdictions across the world like have their rating or their like labeling. So they're all a little bit different. So I think, yeah, like a Belgium-based 0.0 might not necessarily be that true. Obviously not 0.0, but it might be, the 0.05 or the 0.5. So it's all kind of, up for interpretation, I think. But
I have to give the other Mark in our group who's not here, Mark LaFaro, credit for the NA aficionado thing. He told me about it. And then I think Laura Silverman also told me about it. And then Brewski beat me to actually certifying because he's more studious than I am.
Yeah, I have to give credit to the other guy. You have to give credit to Reduceaholic because he inspired me to do it, and I wanted to do it before. What was it? Mindful Drinking Fest. Yeah. So I wanted to go and be like, oh, I'm certified.
What's all entailed in that certification? Like, how does that work?
It's basically like a 150-page instruction manual of like the history of NA beer and how it's made and safety guidelines and all that. And then it's I think it's like a 60 question multiple choice test, and then you pass at a certain rate, and then you get the certification. So
okay, nice.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's pretty. And honestly, it's pretty straightforward.
Like that, like tasting characteristics.
What was that?
I don't want to be impossible, but before we get on like too many other topics, I'm really curious what everybody else is drinking.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
It's not my podcast, but like I'm super curious what like the whole mind has got like tonight.
Well, Uncool. I got an Uncool coconut cream pie. I love the color. It's like a beautiful caramel color. It tastes absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't know if you guys have had Uncool. It's second. I gotta say, second to that wit, dude. Second to that wit. I know. Non-rockaholic loves that stuff.
That wit, to be fair, was so good on draft.
I'm gonna get canceled.
This is a safe space. This is a safe space.
I had the wit. I had multiple cans, and I just every sip I had, I was like, I don't get it. I don't get why it's so like not working. But every other thing that I've had from Uncool, like their Citra wheat, I love. I'll tap into your knowledge right now because I was kind of wondering this last week. What do you call like some of the other beers that they're doing, like the dill pickle pills and the strawberry? Is that like a novelty beer category?
Well, I know like stuff like this would be like a dessert beer, like the coconut cream pie or the pistachio cream croissant,
right?
That kind of stuff. I mean the pickle pills, yeah, I guess it would just be other on Untapped other. But
do you know what the base is for their dessert beers? I think he told me a lot of them have a similar base on the dessert beers, but the pickle's a Pilsner, obviously.
Yeah. Well, the cream, as far as it's hard to keep up with all of them. They release like a new one every 2 days. But they're like I believe this one's like an ale. I mean, it has a lot of the same characteristics of it. They're probably like a cream ale of some sort. And then the other ones, like, well, I mean, the pickle pills. Uh, the wit was a wit, obviously. Trying to think of the other ones. The
Was it
strawberry shortcake
key lime pie? I tried
was,
that one.
yeah, the key lime pie was like a, I mean, I would assume they're just all ale. Sometimes I ask them and sometimes I just don't. But
Grilled pineapple,
yeah,
amazing. I believe. What the heck is that?
That was kind of cool. Is
No, didn't happen.
not doing it for me.
What the heck is going
Wow,
on with
you
my
did
Oh,
computer,
it did?
man?
That's awesome.
No.
All right.
What do you got, Mark?
I have a Visitor Original. See if that
Nice.
doesn't blur out. But just easy, smooth drinking beer. I feel like the design of the can represents the beer itself. Like it's not trying to do anything fancy. It's like pretty just standard. You can't see with the blur. Sorry about that. But yeah, just a standard like silver can with a
That it's
green
just a
circle
silver
that says
can.
Visitor. What was that? Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's blurred out that you can't see. It's just a silver can.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, it's yeah, I dig it. They just sent me a bunch of their different beers. They just sent me their new IPA, which I think they just launched as well. Um, so that one's really good as well. I think I'm gonna crack that one open after this. But this will actually be featured in the August edition of the NA Beer Club monthly subscription. So if anyone is subscribed to that, they'll get to try the Visitor Original out. So
Cool.
yeah.
I think that leaves you, Tyler. But you already said what you got, and I'm curious to see what you think about it.
Council Pop. I like this Council Pop a lot. Like I've been going back and forth on this versus Beagle Puss. I'm not saying a lot. And Go Deepa, and Athletics got some really high quality IPAs, special releases, but like this is something that I wish it could have almost every day. Obviously, you can't because it's Hash Gang's not an everyday beer price wise, but yeah, I've got this, and then we'll see what's next. Maybe Go, maybe Unfazed, maybe Athletics Raspberry Sour, which unfortunately for everybody watching is now sold out, but they have the Blueberry Rice now, so
I haven't had that yet. I heard it was fantastic. I haven't had that.
I recommend getting it.
Got part of a six pack in there. I can confirm it's pretty awesome. I think Brandon was the one who was like, yeah, I think he said it was like his favorite beer. And as soon as it went up on the website on Athletic, like a Sunday morning 2 weeks ago, I was like, all right, like I'll give it a shot. And I don't know if it's my favorite beer ever like his, but it's pretty damn good.
Have you had the raspberry sour?
I have not. No, but that's right up my alley.
I like that one slightly better.
I did. Oh, all right. All right. I'll wait for it to go up online. I'll order that too. You guys are
How
going
would
to
you compare the how would you compare the raspberry sour to like the Go New School sour? Pretty similar, or what would you
I
say?
don't know. I think that's one where Athletic might have a differentiator, but it also depends on which new school it is. Like the most recent one, I definitely would find myself reaching for the raspberry sour, but I feel like one of the winter area ghost new school sours was also really good. So it's tough. It's tough. They're all on the same level.
Cool. Yeah, I've only been in this space since last October, so 8 months now, 9 months. And the amount of variety that has been exponentially increasing since I first kind of stuck my toes in the water has been awesome. Like there's always something fresh out there to try. And I'm ambassador for Go, so I drink a lot of Go Brewing, but like I'm cool. I just tried. I actually have that visitor in my fridge right now to try the things here from the local bottle shop I'm testing out. So and then seeing you guys comment and post on the chat, there's so much going on. It's super exciting. So I don't know what's a curiosity for the group. What's your favorite new beer you've tried recently? That's a tough one. I know.
Probably Good Liar. I'd have to say Good Liar. That they sent me the like a 3 pack or whatever, and I was like super impressed by it.
I agree. I don't know if like I couldn't tell if I was just biased because they were from Columbus as well, but it's just an amazing beer. I don't know. There's something about it that I highly recommend everyone gives it a try.
I love their marketing. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a really good brand presence.
I'm going through my Untapped right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Honestly, this council pop, I don't know, something else about it.
You know what I'm excited about, and it's cool to see other people getting excited about is the Ted Seegers. And
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
I
That's
know
good.
it's not like fancy or I mean it's not fancy. There's nothing else you can say about it. But it's really good for what it's trying to be. And it's kind of cool. It's also nice to see that it's backed by a celebrity. Uh,
Mhm.
For sure.
Look over time, like it kind of was like it every once in a while there's like a little sober fad where like a celebrity comes out, like John Larroquette was one, like, and then like people are like, it's cool to be sober for a little while. And this one I think is very, very different. And people are actually like not just saying I'm sober and I'm giving up on alcohol, but there's people like Dax Shepard who are actually investing right into it because they believe there's a future in the space. So I think there's a few reasons why I'm excited about the Ted Seegers one, but it's damn good.
Yeah, I
And
noticed too that like in some of Dax Shepard's shows, he'll like casually mention in the script, like he'll casually mention non-alcoholic beer. Like
yeah,
even the shows like prior to, all the new craze about NA beer. It was just kind of interesting that like he was just kind of like slowly putting those seeds out there to try to make NA beer like more mainstream by putting it in like a pop culture reference or something. So I
I saw
appreciate
something that him and his wife Kristen Bell, like they have their kids drink NA beer and they're like teenagers, which is I don't I don't know the concept around that when everybody's thoughts are about teenagers having NA beer, but I think it's kind of cool.
it's a it's one of the more controversial topics that I feel like are in headlines all over, and people are trying to like ban it from being sold under 21. And is it a good idea? Is it not a good idea? I don't know. I mean, I got sober as a teenager because I drank way too much. Full test as a teenager. Um, I don't know if NA beer would have made a difference for me at that point or not. I feel like, regardless of whether or not you're serving something, if you're raising kids who are emotionally intelligent and balanced and mature, I can't see how it's going to be an issue. And if you're not, it's doesn't matter what you serve them, it's going to end up being an issue.
See that.
I mean, I think something like athletic or whatever athletic for the distribution, they would really help me in college. And I don't know if I was ever blackout drinker or anything like that, but I definitely drink drank a lot, 3 4 beers all the time, right? And I think an NA beer, even before I was 21, would have been a nice thing to have in the repertoire. Even up until recently. And yeah, but I mean, you look at Europe, like European kids start drinking a lot earlier than we do, and they have I would argue, a lot less serious blackout alcoholism. But I don't know how the data says on that. But most of my friends I know over there moderate way better than most of my friends I know over here. So
Yeah, if I had options when I was in college, it would have been I feel like a little bit different because I went through a phase and craft beer kind of stuck its feet in the ground here in Minnesota in like 2012, my senior year of college, and we took it upon ourselves to try as many as we could, and we collected and had six packs to the tune of about 140 in a year. So it was plenty of drinking. Um, and yeah, that probably wouldn't have taken place if I had more variety of options, but who's to say?
So I think his kids were like younger. They
Oh,
were,
really?
I'm talking like elementary school,
Oh,
I
wow.
believe, if I remember correctly. I don't know. Do you think that that makes a difference or not compared to like someone who's of college age?
I
I
think
don't
it
have
does.
I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I'm just curious.
I I don't know. I
Feels
personally
weird.
like I was at a non-alcoholic bar a few months ago, and a woman bought a non-alcoholic White Claw for her kids who were like 10. And I was like, something just feels really wrong, like in my head, just really wrong about that. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't have any alcohol in it, so it's not it's not doing them any harm, but like I don't know. I just feel like exposing that early to like adult beverages, like it's that's what it is. It's an adult beverage. It's just it doesn't have any alcohol in it. I don't know. It just doesn't sit too right with me. I mean, I didn't really start drinking any craft beer or anything until I was 18, 19. I mean, 21, of course. And but and then I gave it up at 23. So I mean, my experience was very short with like alcohol and in the grand scheme of things. But it just doesn't. I don't know. It just didn't. That didn't sit right with me. And at the end of the day, a parent, parents can do whatever they feel is best for their children. Um, but it is really a controversial topic.
So do you think like that NA bar that you were at, did they have like more appropriate drinks for a child, like soda? Did they have soda?
Not that I know of. No, it
I
was
could
all
see
non-alcoholic drinks.
because I could see like bringing kids to some place and they're like, God, like this is the only thing I got for my kid. I guess we'll do it this time, as opposed to it being like a regular thing. Um,
Yeah, I get that. I mean, the problem was that they came in, they got it, and they left. So it wasn't like they were chilling there
Hmm.
where they like, oh, the
uh,
kid was thirsty. So that's
got
why I
it.
was like, because I could totally that makes sense, sure, if that's the only thing. Like, and of all things, a seltzer makes more sense than like a beer.
Yeah.
Um, but that
Well,
I don't know. That was just like, ugh.
no,
I mean, I want to throw out a slight alternative there is like, we in America, we spend too much time. I mean, I was lucky my parents wouldn't let me drink soda until we were, but like, spent a lot of time giving our kids soda. So it's a matter of, I think, also how you give it to them and what it represents. Because the White Claw, zero non-alcoholic White Claw is healthier. I mean, healthier from pure sugar and calorie perspective than any soda by far, right? And on the other hand, you have kombucha. Where does kombucha fit? Why is kombucha not a alcoholic beverage? It's just because the way it's been branded. So if you, on the one hand, you want that, but on the other hand, I do worry about with NA beer and other NA is if we brand it as a kid friendly thing, then its potential tool in the sobriety toolbox might slightly go away because it's not as cool. I don't know if that sort of rings as well too. So there's kind of both ways that I'd be a little bit, like I don't have kids. I'm almost 40 and I'm planning on it. But if I did, they wouldn't be drinking soda like a lot of kids as much, and a beer might not be a bad alternative. It's way fewer calories. I mean,
I was thinking something similar about like 13-year-old kids going to Starbucks and getting like $8,
Sure.
1,200 calorie frappa, whatever is like I don't know if that's a good idea either, but probably what I mean, the discussion leads into is a much larger discussion about health and wellness in the United States and
Sure.
who we are as people and what we value. And that's what I think I was sort of alluding to earlier. Like if you're teaching your kids like maturity and balance and wellness, that means your kid is going to be okay having a non-alcoholic beer. But Jared, I think you said something about like the ideas that we assign to it are probably very important.
Yeah, the thing I'm thinking of is like if I was, let's call it 14, and I saw my parents drinking beer regularly, and they're like, "Hey, have this NA beer with me, and we're gonna have a bunch of them." And the dad, my dad gets drunk having a bunch of his beers, and I'm, in the process of drinking the NA, and think that that whole process of drinking is a healthy thing or like an enjoyable thing, and then that could lead into wanting to have the full blown beer like dad. So that side of it, I could see potential for some downside, or potential negative effects of the situation. But that's just an idea, I guess.
I can relate to that. It's back when I turned 15. So in Ohio, 15 and a half, you get your temporary permit. You can drive with a parent. Um, so I turned 15 and a half. I got my learner's permit, and my dad was like, hey, now that we can drive together, do you want to go down to the Irish pub that he normally goes to, usually about like once or twice a week? Um, so I would drive him down to the Irish pub. I'd hang out with him all night. He would have friends come in and whatnot. It was every Wednesday night we would do that for years, from like 15 to when I left for college. And yeah, like it definitely felt like being like the odd one out. Like I was clearly 15. I was clearly underage. I was clearly like a kid, younger than everybody else there. But it's
Yeah.
still like over time, like I became one of the regulars at the bar. And, I got to know the bartenders very well, got to know a lot of the regulars that would come in, made a lot of friends, met a lot of cool people. And like, I finally felt like a sense of like, oh, like I'm one of these guys, like at some point, but I always felt like the odd man out because I was the young kid who was sitting at the bar drinking Pepsi or, whatnot, drinking a water. So looking at like something like that, being 15, having to drive, I would definitely I think I would definitely would have reached for like a Guinness 0.0 while everyone else was drinking Guinness, just to make me feel like a part of everything else.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's an interesting take. I think like once you get to that age where you're like old enough to kind of start to assimilate with like the adult crowd, I think it could be a good like a good alternative, a good way to fit in, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Maybe if you develop a taste, it's also a good way to learn how to moderate when you start realizing you're at the limit when you're drinking. You're like, oh, hey, I've had three. I feel a little funny. I'm going to grab an athletic go, whatever it is at the bar, because it tastes similar. I already have the feeling of fitting in, and I'm going to slow down. I mean, I was at Tommy Knocker a month and a half ago, and their NA does pretty well. They don't promote it that well. The guy was just manager was telling me about how well it does, how fun it is. And he goes, yeah, I had this one guy. He was just utterly sloshed on New Year's. And I just swapped out his blood orange IPA for the NA without telling him. And 4 beers later, he goes, did you swap my beer out? And he was thinking the guy was going to get mad at him. The guy, and he was like, yeah. And the guy apparently was like super happy he did it. So I don't know. It goes to say the quality of Tommy Knocker, one, but two, the possibilities of just making it cool, getting the taste familiarity, and possibly just putting it in the repertoire might keep people a little bit more moderate.
Yeah, I talked to a golf club here in Minnesota, just pitch and go brewing. And I positioned, I was like, hey, like, do you have anybody asking for NA? And they're like, yeah. They're like, we have people that are on corporate events golfing. They have to go back to work in the afternoon after a golf round, and they want an option that's going to allow them to stick around and still golf, but be able to go back to work and function. So it's like that. It's almost like the best of both worlds. You still get to do the fun thing, you get to have a drink, but you don't have to worry about the side effects and the issues or whatever go along with it. So I think things like that, where you are helping to moderate the situation and replace the third and fourth with an NA, like it's kind of the best of both worlds.
That was
Yeah,
always
but
my issue. I was the social drinker, and it was always just one more drink.
yeah,
You'd be out having a good time with your friends, and like, oh, how about one more? Like, I'm not ready for the night to end. And like being able to switch from a leaded beer to a non-alcoholic beer, like that was game changing. In that, you know, you don't wake up feeling like shit the next day, feeling like crap. Sorry, I don't know if this is a
you're fine.
friendly podcast. You don't wake up feeling terrible the next day. You don't have to worry about, you know, causing any harm driving home. You can feel productive the next day. Yeah, it's a very good alternative, and you can still go round for round with everyone else.
For sure.
It is nice. And also like I think one of the biggest things in my life uh that switching to non-alcoholic has allowed me to do is it allows me to do more. Like allows me like I can drive all of my friends to the bar. I can pick people up, and drop people off. Hey, what's up, Jack? Um and it's like I can live my life and not have, unless I partake in other in other stuff, I I mostly can continue living my life. I can have a few beers and then go get my hair cut or do whatever I need to do. You know what I mean? It doesn't. I can live my life still, if that makes sense.
And
Yeah,
as you
there's
get
always that balance of
older,
like,
your
oh,
metabolism changes too, and everything changes. Like, once across 35, I was like 3 beers. Oh, whoops. 1 beer. Oh, whoops. And I mountain bike race, and I'm doing a 24-hour race. And I remember I was doing a 24-hour race in 2014. I was much younger then. And my teammate, he was crazy. And he was sponsored by Paps. And he would go do a lap faster than almost everybody else, come back, grab a Paps out of the cooler, and slam it. And I remember I did that my first lap, and didn't work. But with an NA, it'd be great. So that's side of fun things too.
Have you guys seen the guy that does the beer mile races? He's I forget
Yeah.
his name, but he drinks a Klausthaler or some other NA in between each lap of a track, and so he'll have four in a mile, and he like beats these like college track athletes while drinking. It's kind of cool.
We do that in our run club too. There's a couple guys that are really good at beer miles, and I did one with Athletic. This was before I was sober. I did one with Athletic, and I made it to the very end. But the problem was that we had done like a 5K beforehand, and everybody was drinking a beer before the 5K. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll have an Athletic. And I drank the beer, ran the 5K, and it was way faster than it was supposed to be. And then the miles all out, like sub 7 minute, like go for it, even with yeah, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, it doesn't matter in the beer mile because you haven't metabolized a drop of alcohol. It's just that carbonation, malted barley. It's fun. It's fun, but different.
Tyler, if you're ever in Ohio, we should get together and do an NA beer mile. It's been on my
Sounds
bucket
good.
list.
Definitely, definitely. Could have a state challenge. I could drive some. Actually, I could do some Seventh Sun. I mean, they print where they're Colorado.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
I could drink some Seventh Sun, and you can drink some low.
What did you open there, Chris? So you got
This is a So Beer,
oh,
which was an Amazon find quite a while ago. I was trying to find when we were prepping for tonight. I was like, what can I drink that I know that nobody else is going to have? Um, I figured like this one, I don't see a lot of people talking about. It's another very run of the mill, straightforward, kind of malty, easy throwback. What do they call like a lawnmower beer?
Lawn mowing beer. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which I find myself really liking lately. I seem to like go through phases where I get obsessed with like something and I want to try like all of that. Lately, I've kind of just been like wanting to throw back to the easy standard stuff. So,
I
so
uh, I did I did the same with the Savage Light Brew from Go. Had a few of those recently. It's a really good, just straight drinking beer. It's got kind of the lighter vibe going on. It's pretty solid. I think it's 49 calories, so it's kind of right in that mid level. It's not, it's not a partake by any means, but it's lighter for sure.
yeah,
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know, I don't know what Magic Athletic does with their 25 calorie light. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah.
yeah, that one's
Well,
pretty.
how does partake make a 10 calorie IPA or pale ale? That just baffles me still. I don't get how it's possible.
Yeah, their pale ale is my favorite of theirs, and like it packs a lot of flavor surprisingly considering how light it is. I'm actually gonna be
a lot of
I'm
flavor.
actually gonna be pouring um on behalf of Partake for any beer fest, Oktoberfest in Chicago, so that should be fun.
Well, that's
Great.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love those. I love that more and more places are more accepting of any beer. We still got a way to go, but I mean, I when I did the German Beer Fest and they allowed us to have like the bar with a bunch of non-alcoholic, it was just so fun to like introduce people to non. It's awesome to introduce them to people and to be in that kind of environment where everyone's drinking beer, both leaded and non-alcoholic. And for the most part, people are coming around to it, like not like they're not being rude about it as much as I thought they would be. And I mean, there's always one or two people that have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. But other than that, but that's really cool. That sounds like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Oktoberfest. It's hosted at our Lincoln Park Zoo, and it's to a it's called Chicago AF. So it's like a sober social group.
Cool.
Yeah, and I've been pretty involved with them and do different tastings and different events. We even do like a no booze cruise like over Labor Day weekend. So we get like we rent out a boat and then we have a personal bartender making like NA cocktails, and obviously they have some NA beers as well, and it's a lot of fun. I don't know, I've been kind of getting more involved with Chicago AF, and it's been a lot of fun here in Chicago for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Good,
No,
man.
it's a cool spot to be for sure.
Chicago's a cool scene. I've been actually shocked. I come from a really small town. I mean, I'll just admit it straight up. I'm from South Park, Colorado. Fair play.
Hmm.
TV show for all those. But it's a tiny town. I mean, and yeah, it's small enough that back in the day, 20 years ago, you had high schoolers at the bars, probably not. And, you had, people being pretty lenient on the star athletes, et cetera. That level of culture and that level of drink culture, like one of my first really bad experiences with moonshine, you know, that type of area. And I've seen athletic in bars and grocery stores now there. Like I was up there a couple weekends ago for a duathlon, and one of the smaller the brewers was pouring and said, "I'm not drinking. I got, I brought my own NA because if you guys wouldn't." He's like, "We don't have it here, but we actually carry it in our bar." I said, "What? Fair play? Wow!" And that's 2 years faster than I was expecting. To be very honest.
I feel like I often overlook athletic just because, I'm always like looking for the next new thing. I feel like, they've been around for a few years now, but I feel like I don't fully appreciate like the amount of effort and money that they put into like spreading their brand into, the entire US market. And that like they are now like it used to be when you told people that you drank any beer, their first response was always like, oh, so kind of like O'Doul's. But now it's, oh, kind of like athletic. Like everyone knows what athletic beer is, even someone who has never had a sip of NA beer in their life. Um, I think that's really cool that just all that work to like make NA beer mainstream now. So
And
I
they
think
keep improving.
I think it's cool that you had that insight because I'm also aware that like when I go someplace and they have athletic on the menu, I'm like, oh man. But it's very quick of me to forget that 5, 6 years ago, that wasn't an option at all. And the options that were available were terrible. And much like you, and I think everybody in this group, like I want to try new stuff all the time and I want to be excited by the fact that Uncool is releasing something new every 7 days. And I'm excited about that, but I need to remember, like, it wasn't that long ago. The options we had were garbage. So I think that's a great point that they need to be commended. But it is cool to mix it up because Jared, I think you said at the beginning of the hour. I mean, we have gone from here to like way off the charts in just a couple years. So there's more options now than I think most people even know exist.
Yeah, and I know like Miles Faulkner and some of the other folks that put out content, Laura Silverman, all the stuff about the new things. I did a podcast with Miles and he was basically like, I can't keep up. Like there's like 6 to 8 things every week that he has to like talk about, and it's just so much. And outside of just beer that I know most of us have kind of like a focus on, there's all the spirits, there's all the mocktails, the RTDs, the wine, the cider. Like it's growing faster than I think any of us can really recollect at this point,
Yeah.
which is super encouraging. I mean, I've had plenty of folks. I did a tasting at a bottle shop 2 weeks ago, and this one guy came in. He was like, "I don't like beer." So he walked around. He got a THC drink. He came back, and I was like, "Have you ever tried an NA beer?" And he's like, "No." We tried it, and he loved it. And it was like taking somebody from not liking the concept of an NA beer to trying it and then liking it and then potentially buying it down the road. Like I think those are the interactions that folks like us are going to have, whether it's digitally, virtually, or face to face. and it's going to allow for the masses to slowly assimilate and try new things and see kind of what happens as the years go by.
I had a coworker come up to me, and this is the last coworker I ever expected to try something non-alcoholic. And he said, "I just bought a non-alcoholic wine." And I was like, I was like, "How was it?" He said, "It was friggin' amazing." And I was like, "Was it Gießen?" And he was like, "Yes,"
Yep.
because that one is a fantastic wine. I think a lot of the other ones I haven't had like all of them, but I have the ones I've tried. There's a lot that still need a little bit of work. But the Gießen, I was so blown away at Mindful Drinking Fest about that one. But it was so funny. Like I just never expected him to try it. But I mean, I'm always talking about non-alcoholic stuff. Nobody can get me to shut up about it. Um, and I was just surprised. And he said I loved it. He said I'm going to buy it again. I was like, whoa, wow, that's awesome.
Tide is shifting.
Mhm.
I think the
It's
plus
better.
of the Gießen, because I sample a lot of stuff when I worked at Bendición, and the Gießen not only a great wine, but a great price point. Like
Yeah.
it's like under $20. Like that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had it a bunch.
Naughty's like
I think it's like
24,
11.
I think, and that keeps me from getting it sometimes on the price one side.
Yeah, I think I've gotten Gießen for as low as like $11 at Total Wine, which is super reasonable. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like one glass of wine at an Italian restaurant. So you get 4 servings out of it at I think 140 calories for the bottle. So I mean, in terms of value, it's there. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable total on multiple levels.
Right. Um, yeah, and especially because like with the I wasn't really like a wine drinker or spirit guy like to begin with, but the things what that makes me hesitant about I mean like yeah, like spirits and wines kind of excite me like for in the NA world, but like the thing is you don't want to invest in a whole bottle of something you don't like. Like that's my
Sure.
fear, yeah, sometimes, yeah. And
That's why I
and
like the bottle shops.
the bottle shops, yeah. And then like I'm not as crafty either. Like I don't know if I guess I'm kind of weird in this regard, but like I like it when like someone better expertise than I know like crafts it for me. And there's kind of like an entertainment aspect of like, hey, we've got a mixologist over here like cooking and like like I don't know. Like I can't really do that. I can't really replicate a lot of those recipes myself. So I guess why I kind of put them in better hands. Yeah.
That makes sense. Have I
Cool. Well,
told you that I'm jealous about you having a Total Wine?
oh, you don't have them there.
We don't have them. So Penn's Best NA
Yep.
is brewed. I can't quite see it. It's like 6 miles from my house at Genesee
Wow.
Brewery, and they contract brew it, I guess, exclusively for Total Wine. Like it was first founded in I think Westfield, which is just south of Buffalo, about an hour and a half from me. Now it's brewed even closer to me, and I cannot buy it anywhere in New York State.
Oh,
You guys at Total Wine are the only place that can get it. 6 packs for like 238 or something.
Guess what I can
yeah,
see out
it's
my guess
crazy.
what I can see out my apartment window. No joke.
You've got a
It
Total
is.
Wine right there.
Yeah, I have a Total Wine and a grocery store that has a full chilled section. So if I need like Guinness on the quick, I can just like walk across the street. But yeah, Total Wine and a grocery store in my sights.
Dude, Total Wine is fantastic. I remember when I started drinking NAs, when I went into Total Wine, everywhere else I'd been was like, there was maybe like 3 6 packs of something. It was Heineken, O'Doul's, and like maybe one craft or something. But I went to Total Wine and they had a full aisle. They had an extra end cap. They had the chilled section. I was like, oh my God, what the heck? And then the Penn's Best, I go $2.99 for a 6 pack. So I bought like 8 6 packs, and I was like, I gotta. And I had my friends try it, and they were like, "Yeah, this tastes like just like another shitty lager." I was like, "Yep, exactly. It's perfect. It's perfect."
Yeah. I remember driving. I had to drive like 20 miles to get a Total Wine because the liquor stores in between they just didn't have it. And then I found out about a small local one that had more than Total Wine, but that was a
Wow.
little bit later in the game. But like in California, all of the big chains, they have a very good selection of and I'm not from there, but when I started drinking, it was like, was it Bevmo or whatever is the chain? I mean, we were in San Diego during COVID for a bit, and it was like click order Bevmo online cart, 20 different options. You know, I mean,
Wow.
even Barrel Brothers could be found in some of the Bevmos up there. I was shocked. McKellar, the old McKellar stock for a while too. When I went out last year, I think for a wedding. You know, but
So
yeah,
here in New York,
Colorado's catching up.
I was gonna say here in New York, we are bound by ridiculously complicated laws. So liquor stores, wine stores here in New York State aren't allowed to sell non-alcoholic items. So if you walk into a liquor store, you're not going to see soda or non-alcoholic beer. They're not even legally allowed to sell it. It makes no sense. If you go into a grocery store, which can sell non-alcoholic stuff, they can't sell spirits because only the liquor stores are allowed to. So now what's happening is, I think it's down in New York City is where this kind of got started. Is they're challenging that legislation because so many more people are looking for non-alcoholic items. Liquor stores are saying, "Hey, we're losing sales to all these places like supermarkets that can sell non-alcoholic items. So why don't you let us now?" And it's challenging all these ridiculously weird, antiquated, complex laws that don't make any sense. But I think that's probably why we don't have something similar of like a big, huge place that also has a great NA section. But I might have to like do a road trip to a Total Wine. We'll see.
There's a Total Wine in New Jersey that I guess I was thinking it was New York, and it must have been New Jersey. Now that you say that, I was there
It
last
is.
July 3rd, and that thing was cleaned out. The NA shelf didn't have anything. Maybe a
Huh.
couple 6 packs of Two Roads, Penfest, and two or three others. That was it. The shelf was empty though. Like they had it, they had all the labels, but they just apparently. And I read something a couple weeks later that July 4th became the biggest weekend for NA sales of the year.
Huh.
Mm,
Yeah.
very interesting. Good.
Yeah, I was
Goddamn
looking at
fine.
where the locations were, and I noticed New Jersey. There's one just over the border out of New York into New Jersey. But for me, it's probably like 7 hours, maybe at least. I'm so far from New York City that like it's might as well be a different state. Um, so I'm closer to Mark in Columbus.
Yeah, you got Twisted Rail and sometimes Prison City and Shepherd, and that makes me jealous.
Visit, man. Come visit and we'll do a tour. I don't know how much I shared. Twisted Rail Brewing, for anyone who's watching this later, has 4 locations here in the Finger Lakes. And they did an IPA last year, kind of disappeared, and they released a new IPA just like a month ago. And I found out that the owner has stopped drinking. So he's now become interested in NA beers, and he just brewed a mango sour, which hasn't been tapped yet. It was like 2 weeks ago. So I'm trying not to be irritating, but I keep like sending messages. Like, can I come down? Like, is it available? Uh, so it is kind of cool to see. The Finger Lakes region is probably one of the most prolific alcohol producing regions in the United States. I think we're second in wine behind California. We probably have 150 wineries within like a couple hours of my house. At least 100 breweries, mead makers, cider makers. So if you look at the number of opportunities for at least a couple NA products, you'd think we had a few more. So like it seems like really, really cool that we've got a few NA, but when you compare it to like how much alcohol we have, I feel like we could do better. And hopefully that momentum is going to be kicking up soon.
Cool. Well, I think we've.
Speaking of,
Oh, go ahead, Brewski. Sorry.
sorry, speaking of momentum, has anybody tried the Kolsch yet?
Yes.
Oh, I want to try that so bad. I just haven't gotten around to it.
We featured it in, I think, last month's monthly shipment or the one before. But yeah,
Very
it's,
impressed with it.
I've been very
Yeah.
impressed with everything out of Momentum.
I do not know if it pickles.
Surprised it took us this long to get to the topic of pick.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to talk about it. She wrote that. I'm talking
She
about
did say
pickles.
that,
We got to
yeah.
skip it over.
Yeah, we're breaking the rules, boys. No, no, Sarah though, yeah, I when I met her, she's fun. She brought me a bunch of goodies from the Eastern Market Brewery, so it was cool. I know I feel like I've met more people in this chat than anyone else in this chat. I mean, not you, but like in our Instagram chat, like yeah, I've met a lot of people, and you guys are pretty chill.
I'm close behind you, but you definitely have the room.
Yeah, I guess everyone should come down to Chicago. I mean, that's where it's at. We got Pilot, we got Mash Gang, and all that jazz. Yeah, and Go Brewing, just not too far away. All on
It's on my
tap.
bucket list. I'm gonna try to get down there.
I
Well,
echo your thoughts, Jack. I'm honored to be included in this podcast and among the chat, and I feel like I now have access to like the most knowledgeable non-alcoholic beer hive mind maybe on the globe. So, like, cheers to you guys. I appreciate you.
I was just
uh,
I was just thinking that I was just saying it the other day that like when I was telling my girlfriend about the whole pickle thing, I was like, yeah, like a little bit of the NA scene, the NA beer scene, and I was like, wait a minute, we kind of like all are the NA beer scene, like we are like that, like that's so the entire NA beer scene was pickling their beers.
I'll throw it out there. I created a community focused on sobriety, sales, and mental health. Brewski's in it. And if anybody else wants to, I can revert it back to free membership after our call if you want to hop in. And then I'll put it back to the paid status that I'm moving forward with. Is anybody interested in that?
Can you
Yeah,
say
it's
more
been open
about,
on my browser, been a little bit busy.
No worries.
can you
What was
say
that?
more about the group just
Yeah,
for us and then
yeah.
for anyone who's going to listen to the recording after this?
Yeah. So I started it this last weekend. I was thinking to myself, what are three things that I resonate with? And it came up in my head, sobriety or NA beer being kind of a backbone to that. Sales, been in sales for 12 years, and mental health. I've had bipolar disorder for managing that for 16 years. So I was like, these three things kind of all like meld together for a specific avatar or like ideal kind of person. But there's plenty of folks that identify with maybe one or two of those areas. So the idea is to have kind of like a private exclusive community. It's almost like a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page where you can comment, you can create content, you can attend calendar meetings for, once a week or whatever. I ended up having it be and really just kind of, if you think of like the community on Instagram chat that we have here, beefed up with other people in the space or people in the sales world or people that are looking to kind of have a community for mental health support. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for explaining.
Well, yeah. So if you guys are open to it, I'll send out a link in the chat and then I'll turn it back to free for now. And then tomorrow morning I'll just flip the switch back on for what it's set up to be at. So no obligation. Just wanted to throw it out there since we all kind of have this commonality with the NA beer. So with that, thanks everybody for joining. And we talked a lot about a lot of things with the common topic of our NA beer focus with the community. And glad everybody was able to make it. We'll do this again sometime. And for those that watch, thank you for your time. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Be safe, you
Cheers.
guys.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.